to you and to all of the Buzz TV family. Welcome to our annual Q&A show. This is going to be an incredible night where you get to ask the questions, and our beekeepers, Ray Sivitz and Nikki Sweeney, they will have the helpful answers. My name is Brian Race, and before we get into the heart of today's show, I do want to, as we always do, remind you to do some or all of those things that help spread the word, that help others find out about the live stream. The usual, the like, the comment, the share, leave us in your will, whatever you think will help move this program along. We would love to have you do that. And most definitely leave your questions tonight, because it is Q&A in the comment section on both Facebook and YouTube. We are monitoring that. You ask the questions, and because you ask the questions, not only will you get the answers, but you might win a package of freebies. Somebody's going to walk away with those freebies to be shipped in the springtime, or some great protective gear. We've got a nice beekeeping jacket that will be going to somebody that asks a question. So go ahead. Don't be shy. I know you've got some sort of a question on your mind. Go ahead and ask that. And to get this party started, let's turn things over to the owner of Mountain Sweet Honey. Here's my good friend, Ray Sivitz. Good evening, Ray.
Well, thank you, Brian. Hey, it's a rainy night here in Georgia, folks. We were getting some of the outer band of the rain coming up from the hurricane zone there in Louisiana. And so you might hear a little bit of rain in the background, but we're here and we're alive and kicking. We got Nikki back from her wild trips to Europe. And we're gonna have some fun with that trip here in a minute. I want to talk to everybody about our Beekeepers Boot Camp. We're down to about 2 weeks before we're really going to get into the nitty gritty on closing it down for our registration. Go online, just put in Beekeepers Boot Camp or Boot Camp, and it will take you right to the page where you can register on that there. Okay, so this is going to be the 28th of September. Am I correct?
That is correct, the 28th of September.
From 9 to 4, and we'll be doing everything from looking at the bee biology, the honeybee biology, and getting into all the tips and tricks of advanced beekeeping to help everybody get to that next step in their beekeeping experience. And so it'll be a fun day, lots of laughing, and we're just going to have a really good time. Now, we have changed the venue. It is not going to be at North Georgia Technical College in Martin, Georgia. We're going to put it at Mountain Sweet Honey, and we'll be in our warehouse and just be in a great environment where we all can be together there. All right, Nikki, what else do we have that's going on this evening?
Well, that's pretty much it, but I have a little treat for you guys. Are you ready for me to jump right into that?
All right.
Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about my trip to the Netherlands.
Okay. Now, how long was this trip?
It was a week. But it might have been the longest week. We were hustling, bustling, running all over that country.
No sleep?
Barely.
Because this was your first trip, wasn't it?
It was, yes. So we've never been that far away, and we've never been to the Netherlands. And we, for whatever reason, I decided it was a good idea to do a nighttime flight. So we took a nighttime flight. We didn't sleep on the flight.
That's the only time you can take going is a nighttime flight. And then it's a daytime coming back.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's how it
All
was.
right.
And we landed in the Netherlands at 8:00 in the morning. So we were going already on a full night with no sleep whatsoever. Bloodshot eyes. Yes. Yeah. But we hit the ground running. Obviously, we couldn't check in until 3:00. So I had already made the plan that we were going to go find some beekeepers. We were going to go find some bees. We were going to get out there and just see what it's like in Netherlands and how they do things there. And so as you can see, this is me right here in front of the okay, first of all, let me just say, if we have anybody from the Netherlands, I'm going to crucify these names. And it's not intentionally, but in the midst of all my travel planning, I forgot to learn how to speak Dutch or speak the language. So
most people get that in a week.
Yeah. You'd think I would have figured it out. But so this is me in front of Bingenhouse. And I don't think that's right. but
the bee house.
Yes. So translated, it is the bee house. So this place was actually really cool. It was not in Amsterdam. We actually it was about an hour and 20 minutes that we drove over to, I believe it's Wagentown, perhaps is how you say it. But we went over there. It was a beautiful little area out in the countryside. Horses going up and down the side of the road, farmland as far as you could see. And we
now, Nikki, I'm looking at those that are watching us right now, and it's probably those folks from this bee house. So be nice, be gentle.
I am being gentle. I apologized in advance. It's not intentional. I just
Do we need to apologize for any international incidents? Did anything crazy happen that CNN needed to be notified of?
No, I can't. No. We didn't eat any animals. We came back. Everything was good. So
okay, all right.
But the bee house was lovely, honestly. So I spoke with a few of the workers there. The person that owns it, he actually was not available at that time. He wasn't there. But when you walk in, this place is huge. I mean, it doesn't look.
Do you have any pictures of the inside?
There's a couple pictures of the store if you want to go through. Right. Brian, maybe some of that's just kind of your welcome. They had the big beehive out front.
The scup. Yep.
Yep. And then so you'll see some of their products. They have everything from, honey to beekeeping supplies, candy, soaps, whatever it is that you're looking for. So here's the story. I took pictures of everything in this store because it was so big and it was like Disney World for beekeepers.
Yeah.
But I accidentally erased almost everything on my phone and lost it. And had I not uploaded most of my pictures daily to Facebook, I would have lost every picture I took. So I'm missing a lot of photos.
Brian, you have had that experience before too.
Unfortunately, on the company dime, I've had that experience. I did want to make the comment that this sort of looks like the European Buc-ee's or Buc-ee's for beekeepers.
I swear that's what it was like. There just wasn't a bee flying around. I guess we needed that. But so they do everything from the story behind this is this building itself has been there it was actually the Beekeepers Association for more than 15 years. And it was recently bought out by the gentleman that owns it. He bought it about 5 years ago and decided to really expand it. The reason being is beekeeping in the Netherlands it's very minuscule. There's not a lot of beekeepers there. First of all, it's not very cost effective.
Brian, let's go back. I want to talk about the top right picture there. That's a top bar hive, and they've done it in a circular nature, which we have not seen here in the United States. And so very, very interesting on that.
So what they explained to me on that is it's to somewhat replicate a tree trunk. The bees tend to take to that a little bit better, supposedly or allegedly, because it's more like a tree trunk. The clear casing on that allows you to actually view your hive and see what's going on with it without disturbing all your frames and everything. So it's pretty interesting.
Okay.
So beekeeping in the Netherlands, there's not a lot of beekeepers there. So when the gentleman that bought this out, his goal was to really try to get people into beekeeping, get the people of Netherlands back into it. It used to be very popular, I guess, about the 1940s, and then farmlands kind of took over in the Netherlands. And when they did that, there were a lot of pesticides, and obviously it killed off.
Now, are these active hives?
They are. Okay. Yes. Yep. So there were bees in all of them.
Now, one thing, folks, that you'll see there in the center is a guy's face. This is something that you'll see throughout Europe is pictures on the hives themselves, and not specifically on skeps, but on the wooden hives. And my favorite one is a maiden with a long tongue that comes rolling out, and then there's Satan with a pitchfork, Brian, that's going into her tongue. And
sounds like a commentary on gossip.
Yeah, that's what it was. Is quick gossiping. And so there's always a story with some of these pictures.
Don't buy your wife anything like that for your anniversary. Just a pro tip from someone who knows.
Tomorrow night's anniversary.
Happy anniversary, Ray.
Yeah.
And cinnamon.
Yes, and cinnamon, because she's got to put up with me. All right. Nikki, go on ahead.
Yeah. So, okay, so where was I at here? So anyway, so it is very rare just because there is so much farmland there. So when he took this place over, he actually decided to vamp it up. They filled the rooftop of the building with over 600 solar panels. They wanted to make everything as energy efficient as possible. and keep everything as natural. So if you look, you'll see all the flowers. They've got this huge flower garden that you're able to walk through. There's a picture further into the slides as we go that you'll see the architecture who designed this space. When you pan out and actually look at it from an aerial view, it looks like honeycomb. So there was a lot of thought that goes into it, but it's lovely. You can go back in there and sit. They had all the painted hives.
All right, go back two slides. You're going really fast. Let's see here. Go right there. Yeah. There's some of the pictures on that, but those are just wildlife. All right, going ahead.
Yep. And so the aerial view, like you've seen just a second ago, it kind of looks like the honeycomb there. So that's the entire garden area, the koi pond that was back there. So you're able to go back there and just sit and hang out. They offer beekeeping courses there. They actually have a carpentry shop right there. So for people that want to build their boxes they can actually build it right there. They do wax melting. All of that. Just trying, like I said,
very inclusive.
Yes, it is very much so. Most of their business currently, they told me, comes from Germany because there's a lot of beekeepers in Germany. But again, they're trying to really get back out there, in the Netherlands. The picture that showed all of the colorful hives, not the ones that were painted, Brian, but the lineup of all the hives. Keep going for me.
Was it back or forward?
No, it was forward. I'm sorry.
Forward. Okay.
Right there. So those two areas, you'll see all those hives. I guess there's probably about 30 hives total. And if you'll see, they've got plaques on them. So people can actually sponsor these hives. So they put that money back into, so they put that money back into obviously helping with the classes and helping in the community for beekeepers. But it also gives them an opportunity to go out and they care for those bees. So that way they are learning how to beekeep while essentially helping provide, financial resources as well. So it's pretty interesting.
And this is really close to the North Sea. So that's why they have a solid backing to this barn of sorts, bee barn, to help protect from those north winds coming in.
Yeah, because I think we went to the North Sea, and from Amsterdam, it was about a 30-minute drive. So from there, maybe an hour away. It's not too far from there. But yeah, so in 2018, Netherlands actually started a pollination initiative, which I thought was really neat. When we got there, my sweet, sweet husband, God love him, I'm going to call him out on this show. He was talking about all the weeds, and I was like, I loved it because I could tell that it was more of a natural thing. It was more of an environmentalist thing. And I was like, it's for all the pollinators because everywhere you look, there were weeds and wildflowers, and that's part of their initiative. So they have green roofs on the hotels. You could see on all the balconies, there were just wildflowers growing galore. On top of your bus stops, like where you wait for your bus stop, there would be flowers there. So they're doing a lot of work to try to bring, beekeeping
very
into
eco-centered type of nation. They are, for
definitely.
sure.
And then the three main types of bees there, I thought you might find this interesting, is the European black bees, the buckfast, which I know we've talked about before, and then Carnica. And I was not familiar with Carnica when I first was looking at the bees, because as you walk through the garden, you could see bees everywhere, obviously. And I was like, those really look like carniolan. And so I ran back in. I was like, what type of bees are these? And that's when they said the Carnicas are basically like our carniolans, which I found to be pretty interesting. So all in all, it was an amazing trip. And I did bring us back some different Holland honeys for us to try.
All right.
So there's information on the slideshow. We'll have Brian throw those up as we're tasting them, just so I can read kind of a description to you on what those are.
Okay, so which one are we going to try first?
So the first one on the list is the hot honey. Enjoy the full flavor of honey with a kick of infusing jalapeno and naga peppers, I believe is what it is.
All right. Ray says he's out. I am here for it.
You're here for it. All right.
Go for it.
All right, I have to get some water and wash my palate.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to get some water as well. You made a wise decision, Ray. That's got to, I love it. I love spicy food, but do you have any Pepsid?
I was like,
wow.
I know in the beginning I was like, oh, it's not that bad, but it really hits your throat.
It's after you swallow, the flames begin.
So
that's why we started with that one. So hopefully the others will kind of dilute it down a little bit.
Need to go hose down in some milk.
It got so hot it took Nikki's camera out again. That's how hot things are.
Well, Brian's going to work on that. And in the meantime, all right, I'm back on here. I'm going to try, what is the CH one?
So the CH is the chestnut honey.
All right. I have never had chestnut honey, so this is going to be very interesting. This one will be good.
So it's pronounced I'm not even going to try to say that the right way. Castanhe, I think. So it says chestnut honey is an ideal honey for those who are looking for a honey that's not too sweet, reddish brown honey with a slightly bitter and nutty taste.
Yes.
And it's delicious with
cheese,
woody, nuts,
nutty
and fruits.
Kind of taste is what I would say.
It tastes to me like something that my grandmother would have had in her cupboard for 15 years. I mean, it's got an aged flavor to it.
It does have an aged, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very rare honey. They don't have a whole lot of chestnut trees or blooms. So when the bees actually do get enough to make a honey, it's more on the rare side.
Their nectar is that long. It's a really short nectar on that there.
It's good though.
So, that might have nectar for maybe a week or two, and that's it.
So they have to get it fast.
All right. Is WH wildflower?
Wildflower.
All right.
So that's
all right. So I know all about what it tastes here in the U.S. Now let's see what European is.
We are going to get to questions, folks. Don't feel like we've done a bait and switch on you. Keep asking those questions. And
I would say it's almost identical to what we've got.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the flora is very, very similar. And I couldn't tell the difference.
No,
I could not tell the difference on that there.
All right. So the final one, it's a gritty one. So this comes from the plant heather is the type of plant. Let me see. I've got my slide here so I can give you the description of it. But it's supposed to be, that's just how it is. It's a very grainy, gritty honey. It says it's a special honey in the world. It's a spicy honey with a specific taste. What makes it so special is that it's a very firm honey. Good heather honey can be held upside down without a single drop of honey falling out of the jar. Packed with antioxidants, minerals, and therefore is one of the healthiest honeys in Netherlands. And it can be compared to the well-known Manuka honey.
Mine has crystallized a little bit.
I think that's it's not that it's crystallized. She said that it has that gritty, like that's part of, I guess, the plant or the nectar that they get from the plant, however they do it. But not that it crystallizes, but that it's just, now this is just what how she was explaining it. Now there was a little bit of interpretation there.
Folks, we're having just a little technical difficulty, and Brian's trying to get Nikki back online here, and it looks like
she's back. It does have some crystals in it, though.
Y'all are making me work tonight.
Yeah, I think that has crystallized. I'm sure there will be a little grit, like she said, but not those are crystallized sugars.
Okay. I hadn't tried it until just now, but yeah.
But it is a buttery.
It was good though.
It has a lot of taste like what we would find with sourwood here in the Southeast.
I can see that. Yeah,
I think on that there. Well, Nikki, you're ready to go back and do some more beekeeping interviews.
Yeah. Yeah. Where are we going next? New Zealand, right? That's what I hear. That's the next stop on my list.
New Zealand is always on our talking points. And Brian, let's go ahead and put it on number one for me there. We're doing a lot of business in New Zealand right now. And there's probably every other day, wouldn't you say, Nikki, that we're talking about New Zealand in one shape or form?
Very frequently.
I do want to give a big promo for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, folks. We've got some barn burner stuff that we're going to be putting out on Cyber Monday and Black Friday. Don't miss it, because this one is huge. This announcement that we're going to have on Cyber Monday and Black Friday can change the beekeeping industry. That's how big it is. So tune in during our 6 hours. We always do about 6 hours on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and you'll hear about what we're going to set a new standard in the beekeeping business. A lot of folks have decided to try to do what we're doing here on the air tonight, but we were the first ones to do this, folks, and we're glad that others are trying to up the game to make us better at what we do from our side. Now, Nikki, do you have some questions from our folks here?
I do. All right. So our first one I'm going to throw up on the screen for you. This is from Jeffrey F. I'm not sure where he's located at, but he says he's been reading about queen mating, and the article talks about a drone congregation area. Please explain how the drone congregation area is created, and how does the virgin queen know where that drone congregation area is?
Okay. There's Thomas Seeley, if I remember right, wrote a whole book on on mating of queens. And there's some discussion that goes back on this, is that these drone congregations have been in certain areas for 40, 50, 60, 70 years. And they always go to that area. There's not any rhyme or reason that is out there, because obviously a drone mates and dies. And it has something to do with magnetic and polarity of our Earth that helps them determine where these places are. And it also signals to the queen that she needs to fly through those congregation areas. So it's a very interesting book. I believe Thomas Seeley is the writer of that book, and it is mind blowing on how these honeybees find these drone congregation areas, as well as the queen finding them.
Hey, Nikki, your camera was so hot from that hot honey that I've actually turned it off for a moment. So Nikki's on the radio. So we're going to the dark screen.
It's so good. I have a good face for radio.
There you go. All right. All right. Do you have another question that you want to throw up there?
Sure. Me? Oh,
okay.
Did you have a question there, Ray?
Nope.
Oh, I thought you were going to. Okay. All right. So Al McGillard said, should I be concerned that there is not a lot of capped honey in my hive at this time in middle Georgia? I have 2 deep, 8 frames, and 1 medium super. The medium has drawn comb, but all are open.
Okay, Al, when it comes to doing a double deep, it's a very, very hard thing for the first year for the beekeeper to get the bees to do a double deep. So you got to just keep 1-to-1. With you being in middle Georgia, I would have a 1-to-1 sugar water on those hives all the way up to the middle of November. And I would just keep it on there, keep it filled, and they will get through the season. Now, what you're going to find is that they're not going to do the stores as heavy, but they'll lean very heavily on drinking that sugar water from your feeder on that there. Now, this should be an internal feeder, either a top feeder, we carry them from Ceracell, or a Boardman feeder on the front of your hive. Either one of those will work.
Excellent. Ray, I've got a question that I think will be really good here for folks from Michael. Let me put that on the screen. What type of questions does someone need to ask themselves before they decide to start a beehive, to get into beekeeping? What are some of those fundamental questions that need to be asked?
Well, Michael, that's a good question. And we get those questions almost every day, starting about next week going forward. And one of the things is get a class. We have a class that we put here online, and it's well worth the money to buy the class, and you can watch it over and over again for up to a year. And what this will do is it will introduce you to what beekeeping is all about, what the honeybees are all about, and also help you find a location that would be best suited for your bees. So when you tie all this together, it's about a 3-hour course. It will give you the foundation that you need going forward to say, hey, this is something that I want to do, or I don't want to do. We'll go through everything step by step, and through that 3-hour course on that there.
And while Nikki's grabbing the next question to throw up in just a moment, this is a perfect segue to the National Beekeepers Boot Camp in a couple of weeks on September the 28th. This is for beginners through intermediate level beekeepers. So whether you're thinking about getting into beekeeping, or you've been doing this for a couple of years and just want to take your skills to the next level, the link is available in the description for the video. You can find that. We've left an easy to use link, and we hope to see you guys in Toccoa, Georgia, September the 28th.
9 to 4.
Absolutely.
All right, Ray, I'm going to throw this next one up here. And there's actually 2 questions, not by the same person, but I think they're going to kind of go hand in hand. It says, when do I need to switch to sugar bricks? And then if they're leaving honey in the hive, how much honey do you recommend that they leave to get them through the winter?
Okay. Well, let's do the sugar bricks first. Okay. We call those pollen patties. And what that has is essential oils, and it also has pollen, and it also has sugar. That sugar is important for the metabolism of our bees, and it also helps produce the wax from their wax glands. So having that along with the sugar water is an excellent way of getting your bees through this time of the year, all the way up through to spring. So putting on a pollen patty, you should start it right now. Most people are fading out on their goldenrod, and goldenrod's the last pollen of the season, and it does have a little bit of nectar that comes into the hive. And speaking of goldenrod, it will smell like dirty socks when you open up your hive this time of the year with the nectar that has been brought into the hive as well as the pollen. So you're going to do the pollen patties all the way through the early spring, and that will give all the essential parts of what the bees need for digestive purposes as well as sustaining.
Cool. Ray, our next question comes from Mark. He obviously lives somewhere up on the eastern coast. He wants to know your thoughts about insulating a hive in the mid-Atlantic area in some of the higher elevations.
Well, Mark, one of the things that you got to look for is especially if you're in the mid-Atlantic mountains, do your temperatures get below 20 to 25 degrees consistently? And would that be for more than 24 hours? And in your case, I would say it probably does. And in the event that you're like 3, 4, 5, or even weeks long of 25 degrees or less, you're going to want to get a hive wrap blanket that goes around the outside. What this does is it's a black wrap, and it has insulation on the inside, and it gives an R factor of 25, if I remember right, on that. And it keeps the heat in, and it helps your bees thrive during the most coldest time of the year. You know, we see a lot of bee losses that happen Indiana, Illinois, over into Ohio and Kentucky. Those areas get some really, really cold temperatures during the peak of the winter months. And when you put a hive wrap on that, it just really, really ensures that the bees are going to stay warm and thrive during the winter months.
Nikki, your camera decided to work.
Hi. All right. So Kaylee over on Facebook would like to know, she said, I'd like to get started with beekeeping. I live in Central Florida, Ocala. What month should I start?
Okay. So Kaylee, one of the things that you want to do is you want to get started sooner rather than later, because we get all kinds of things during the holiday months, and they pull us each way, and it's just really tough. But go ahead and start assembling your beehive. Get it put together, or we can have it shipped to you put together. Get a paint and paint it. You want to get 2 to 3 coats of exterior latex paint on it. And of course, we can give you more on the painting side. But you want to be able to get your bees scheduled now. And being in Central Florida in the Ocala region, you're going to want to get your bees the first week of March, which would be, I believe it's the 12th is our ship date on Italian bees. And those dates are specifically for you guys in Florida and Texas, especially. So that first shipment of bees in March is what you want to do there. A lot of times folks want to do murals on the outside of their beehives, and this gives you the time to do that if you want to do it. The biggest thing is you want that a paint to cure at least for 30 days before you put your bees in. And that's really the timelines that you got to really work around.
You are watching Buzz TV, which is sponsored by Mountain Sweet Honey at mountainsweethoney.com. Jason is up with our next question, and he's had an issue with wax moths. He says that he's frozen the frames to kill off the larvae and he wants to know, are the bees going to clean out these frames?
Okay, Brian, let's make sure to leave that up because there's a lot of things to talk about here with Jason here. Okay. Jason, for one reason or another, your hive died off. The wax moths are always the last to the party. They create the most mess out of everything on that there. Now, freezing those frames are the right thing to do. You want to freeze them for at least 72 hours, and then you can take them on out and put in your new bees. I'd like to say, hey, if it looks like a real heavy cobweb in there, at least try to help your bees and use a brush, a bee brush, and just try to get those on out on that there. Obviously, it's going to cause a little bit of problem with your foundation with the wax comb that's there, because that will be very brittle after being frozen, and you'll destroy a lot of it there. But if you put in a 3-pound package of bees, they'll clean that up fairly well on that there.
Nikki, anything that you've noticed that you want to throw to Ray?
So we have Miguel, and Miguel said, I got my first bees and hive from Mountain Sweet Honey this year. Thank you, Miguel. And they said, I need to treat for mites. I planned on not harvesting honey this year, so my super is full. What treatment should I use?
Well, we have several different treatments, but Formic Pro is the one that I love more than anything, because I've seen such good success with Formic Pro. And basically, I don't know where does Miguel mention where he's at?
No.
Okay, so the bottom line is, Miguel, is as long as your temperatures are consistently under 90 degrees, you can go on in and put those 2 treatments, one on the back, one on the front, and then let it go for the 7 days and see what your mite count is on your drop. And you may have to treat a second time. But Nikki, September is the peak of mite season. And what will happen is that the queen will get some kind of a disease from the mites that are out there, and she'll die off, but you won't actually see the die off of the colony until November, December, after the first freeze.
Okay.
Yeah, because they become very disorganized.
And by then it's too late, because you really can't do anything from there. So, okay.
Yep.
Good to know.
Very cool. This comes to us from Arkansas. Excuse me, I think I loaded the wrong one. Let's switch out of that and go to the question here from Michael. And this is Michael, but where's the Arkansas question? There we go. All right. Should he get local bees, or does it matter? And I'm assuming that by that he means, does he need to buy his bees in state, or can he have them shipped from somewhere else?
Okay, Michael, this is a great question, because I see this on the chat boards for various groups around the country, and all queens are the same, whether you say they're hygienic or if they're grown in, we'll just say, New York or grown in Florida. They're the only ones that survive year after year, those queens. So we have to talk about the queens, not the actual worker bees themselves or the drones, because they come and go. So those queens are really graded on their productivity. If they lay a strong brood, they're going to get through the winter months. If they go a weak brood, where as soon as the nectar is cut off and you're going into a dearth, then they cut back on their egg production and they go into winter weak. And those are the ones that you're going to lose through the winter months on that there. So there's really, queens are queens. One's not fatter in the north and one's not skinnier in the south, Brian. So they're all biologically the same, and there's just really no difference if they're raised in Florida or raised in Minnesota.
Oh, we've got that good Southern cooking down here. They're probably a little fatter down south.
All right, a little fatter. All right, a little heavier, a little plump.
Just a little bit.
All right,
just a little bit. All right. James wants to know, is it too late to split?
Oh yeah, James. My rule of thumb is if you do a split, anytime after. And does James say where he's from?
He does not. No.
All right. Here in the Southeast, May the 1st is when I do my last split, and that will be 2 or 3 frames of bees of brood and 2 or 3 frames of empty foundation that go in there, and let them develop that out. If you try to do a split this time of the year, first of all, you got to find a queen. It's going to be kind of hard to find a queen this time of the year. And at the same time, you're going to have to use a five frame nuke box to get it started. Or if you have a 10 frame, you'll have to bring in frames from other hives full of bees to be able to go into that strong for the winter months. But I would not recommend that to anybody because it's really tough on the new queen getting settled in and limited nectar sources. And it's just a recipe that will put failure in your front view mirror. One thing I would say, and I'll tell you a quick story on this, is we had a dentist probably about 7 or 8 years ago, and he got into beekeeping, and man, he was coming into our store every other day buying equipment, and he started out with about 10 hives. And by the time I started asking him questions 2 months down the road, it was into July, and he had up to 50 hives that he had split. And so I said, no, you can't do that. And he goes, oh, no, I know what I'm doing. And so off he went with 10 more, Brian, and then another 10 more. And I happened to have been the one delivering this to him at that point in time. And so I was going by there, and I looked, and he only had 2 hives in February out there. All the rest were put up into the barn. And it's just sad. And he said, well, I should have listened to you. And I said, no, it's just experience, is that you don't want to put so much stress on these bees going into the cooler months.
You are going to love this lady's name. It's Lori.
All right.
And Lori says, hey, Lori, when do you take off the super? She lives in northern Florida and wants to know when it's time to remove that super.
Okay. So Lori, hey, back to you. Thank you for your business. All right. So we're going to have the brood box on the bottom, and then up above is going to be the super. And that super is there to feed your bees in the off season. So this is what's going to get your bees all the way through late February, because in March, you're going to have all kinds of new blooms and some nectar going. So the bottom line is keep that super on, keep feeding your bees through this dearth that we're going through currently.
All right. And that brings me over to Banana Peel from North Missouri. What kind of supplements are recommended for overwinter?
All right. Supplements are always a good thing to talk about. One of the things that lemongrass, you can put like 5 or 6 drops into a half gallon. And man, you can smell that through the whole apiary. But the big thing is if you feed one hive, you got to feed them all. And tea tree oil, another essential oil, is very, very good to use. That helps clean the gut out of the bee naturally. And you'll see a lot more productivity from your bees in the off season, a lot more flying out, and a great smell there in the bee yard itself.
I think BB's got a interesting question here. Let me throw that up. And it is involving introducing a bee package to a new hive. He's been told that it will fail most of the time, and he wants to know, is that true? And what are the preventative things that I have to do prior to getting a bee package from Mountain Sweet Honey, which, by the way, we do sell bee packages, and we ship to, what is it, Nikki, about 30 states, 33 states?
Yes, 33 states.
33 states these days. And what advice would you have for BB?
Okay, BB. A couple things here. Introducing bees into a new hive is nothing new. Folks do this every couple of years when they're adding more hives, or a bear or something has come in and destroyed an existing hive. So they're getting a new hive. New hives, bees love just as much. What I would say is first of all, you have to feed your bees. They have to be able to, that queen, when she emerges out of that queen cage, she's got to be able to lay her eggs. If you're not feeding, then the bees are not creating the wax from their wax glands and making this comb for her to lay her eggs. So that could be a very big negative, but we turn it into a positive on just giving the bees sugar water, 1-to-1 sugar water, and allowing them to develop the comb. So in 3 days, when the queen emerges from her queen cage, she's ready to lay. And that's what keeps the bees into the hive there. And it's a preventative too. Let's see here. What are the preventative things I have to do prior to getting a bee package from your company? That is really it. We sell assembled hives or unassembled hives. And you have your choice there. And we ship those all out within 2 business days.
All right. And that brings us to Craig Walker, who wants to know, is it too late to introduce a new queen, a buckfast, to an Italian hive that is queenless?
All right. I would assume that the new queen, that's the buckfast queen, is mated. And if she is mated, what I would do is definitely leave her in there with the cork out of the candy side and let the bees release her over a 3-day period, maybe even 4. Now, I would also want to make sure that you don't have another secondary queen in there, because what they will do is they'll sting that buckfast queen until she dies. And then you'll be out, $80 or whatever when you figure in shipping with the bee itself. So that would be the biggest thing that I would say is make sure it is a queenless hive on that, and that you don't have a laying worker too, because if you have a laying worker, they'll attack that new queen.
Okay. Nikki, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. The last time that Ray and I did Buzz TV, we forgot to announce a winner during the show. We actually, after the show, was like, what did we forget tonight? Yeah, we forgot that we needed to announce a winner.
The most important part.
Yeah.
So would you mind going ahead and just in a few minutes, go ahead and select who's going to win the jacket, and in just a minute announce when you've selected that winner. And then, of course, we still have a package of bees that we will be giving away. I do want to quickly remind everybody about the Beekeepers Boot Camp coming up September the 28th. You'll see some information here on the screen. Let's just go ahead and give that to you full screen there so that you guys can grab some of that information. We're going to pick up the tab on lunch for you guys. It's really cool. The cost is very affordable at $70, but you can bring guests for half price.
That's right.
If you have a gaggle of children who are interested in beekeeping, bring them.
And Brian will babysit them during that time.
So we certainly hope that you'll avail of this opportunity. $70 for you, $35 for your guest. Seating is limited, and we have moved it back to Toccoa, Georgia at Mountain Sweet Honey's main location. And so just be aware that that limits the number of seats. So it's imperative that you use that QR code there in the upper right-hand corner, or the link that is provided in the video description as soon as possible. At least go ahead and zoom in on that with the QR code so that you'll know where to get all the details and begin thinking about attending the National Beekeepers Boot Camp. So we definitely encourage that and hope very much to see you guys there.
And you know what, Brian? If anybody says this was not worth it, I'll write you a check or give you your credit card back on a credit for your credit card. We have had outstanding reviews on this class, and we've added a lot more material to it, and look forward to seeing everybody. Mm-hmm. We have people driving in from a lot of different states or flying in and staying with us for the day. And it's a good, fun experience. And we get to hear a lot of funny stories at the same time. So sign up online or give us a call at 706-886-1322, and we'll get you signed up over the phone. All right, Nikki, do we have another question?
I do have another question. I threw it up there by accident just a second ago, so hopefully you didn't read it too quick. All right, so we have Gorski, who says, with the 1-to-1 sugar water, would it make a difference if we used organic sugar, or is there a particular type of raw cane sugar that we should be using?
This makes no difference. You can use refined sugar or organic sugar. I will say that it's going to be a little bit more harder to melt down the crystals on organic sugar because of the bigger crystals that are typically with the organic side. But you never want to boil the water. You want to just use hot tap water and keep stirring it until it's dissolved completely. Same thing with raw cane sugar. It really does not matter at that point.
Rob plans on coming, or would love to come. Let me see if I can put Rob back up there.
There we go.
He's going to be in a semi the weekend of the boot camp. Do we have parking for a semi?
No, we don't.
No, we don't. So
we might have to truck you in, Rob. Have you parked down at one of the truck stops, and we'll bring you in.
Yeah, that would be cool to be able to do that.
Yep.
Well, Rob, thanks for thinking about coming. Let me see if I've got another question.
And hey,
here.
Rob, we got the State Patrol Barracks that's just 1 mile away, and I'm sure somebody can get you from there to our store and get you into the boot camp there.
There's a lot of room over there at that State Patrol Barracks. That's not a bad idea.
Yep.
Now,
is not even behind bars, right? Just in the parking lot, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nikki.
Sorry.
Does this question make sense to you, Ray, from Harold? Is October and November a good time to
oxalic acid?
There you go. You answered that question. What do you think? Is it a good time?
Yeah. I probably would have done a oxalic treatment back in July or August, but it's never too late. If you can cut down your mite load, you're ahead of the game all the way around. So the big thing is get your white sticky board and make sure you see what your drop rate is on your mites. If you see that it's really heavy, then you're going to have to go back in 5 to 7 days and retreat again.
Nikki, did we ever get a winner for?
I do. I was wondering if you're going to come back to me on that. So for our first drawing is for our beekeeping jacket bell combo. And that winner is Scott Weaver. So congratulations, Scott. I know in the past we've had some difficulty reaching you if you're on YouTube or Facebook. So give me a call personally. That way I can go ahead and get that shipped out for you. You can reach me at 706-886-1322, extend 1010. That shipment's for you.
And Nikki, in about 15 minutes, we're going to give away that package.
We're going to do that package. Right. That's exciting.
And one more time on the name of the winner.
It's Scott Weaver.
Hey, Scott, thank you so much for watching Buzz TV tonight, and congratulations. Greg has a question, wants to know about combining weak hives with stronger hives. And he says, or what about putting a weaker hive on top of a stronger hive with a double screen board to separate the colonies? That's a new one on me, but what does Ray think?
Well, leave that one up because there's several things to talk about, Brian, on this. Greg, thanks for this in-depth question on this here. All right, so when you have your hive, most of the time, either the queen has failed in one way, shape, or form. And what you'll do is take your hive smoker and you'll take frame by frame out of that hive, smoke it out on both sides, and then smoke your hive that you're putting it into. So you've smoked the frame of the foreign hive and into the new hive. And when you smoke both of those, that has erased the queen pheromone, and you can put it straight in. You don't have to worry about putting it on top and putting newspaper between them so that they can get used to the queen's scent. Commercial beekeeping it does this all the time, and it's real easy to do, and it's fast to do, and you'll see the same results on doing that there. All right. We do not use a double screen board because we use the smoker to smoke not only the frame, but the hive that it's going into. And you would, again, you're probably only going to have 3 or 4 frames of the weak hive to put in. So you just smoke each of those as you're working along with it. And also smoking the hive each time, putting each frame in. So there's lots of smoke going on to do this one.
Cool. Do you still need that question, or does that take
good.
care of everything there? And we'll throw it back over to Nikki Sweeney.
All right. Lynn Burgess wants to know, how can you change a bottom board in an existing hive?
Okay. So Lynn, what you're going to do is hopefully you have enough space beside that hive to put your new bottom board, whether it's a solid bottom board or a screen bottom board. You put it there and then go on ahead and disassemble your hive and then reassemble it on the new hive bottom board on that there. So that's how you would do that. I would smoke those bees just to make sure that they're calm when you get in there, because they're going to be a little upset thinking that you're going to be robbing them of their honey this time of the year.
I don't think that we've answered Al's question. If we did earlier, just let me know. But he wants to know about all the capped honey in his hive. He's from Middle Georgia. He's got 2 deep, 8 frames, 1 medium super. The medium has drawn comb, but all are open. Do you understand that question there?
All right. Okay. So Al, what has happened on the capped honey is most likely the bees have already started to eat into those honey stores. And that is because it's a dearth time. You're down in Middle Georgia. I'm sure that you're probably just wrapping up goldenrod down there. And so they've already begun to eat into the capped honey. Now, if you want to try to extract some of that honey, what I would do is just pick up the frame and shake it one time really hard and see if there's droplets that come down on the table or on the telescopic cover, and just see if there's droplets there. If there's no droplets, most likely it's going to be really good to go on ahead and harvest that, because it's going to be 16 to 17% moisture content in that, which is honey. And if you see a lot of dots there, then it's still nectar that needs to be turned into honey by drying out on that there. I would leave one super, whether it's deep or medium, on each hive so that they have something to eat in the off season here. And Ryan put it back up there. Okay. And in regards to the medium, has drawn comb, but all are open. I would take that one and move that off to the side and store it for the winter season, because they are not going to fill that back in with nectar because of limited resources right now.
This is a corollary question, and you may have just answered it. It's one that came to us before we started the broadcast, as we had opened up some opportunities on social media for people to ask questions. Amy, who lives in Wheeling, West Virginia, wanted to know, what are the best practices for monitoring hive moisture levels during the winter? Are there best practices for monitoring hive moisture levels during the winter? What say you?
Well, what I would say on this is that you definitely want to have your inner cover. Moisture levels are produced with moisture that's coming from the ground. So one is you got to have your hive up above the ground level, and you don't want snow to get up underneath there either. I would have 2 to 3 inches clearance underneath the hive to keep any kind of moisture from coming up into the hive. I would also move to a solid bottom board to reduce that upflow of moisture. Now, if you're in really cold temperatures, you're going to see that there will be some moisture buildup, but the warmth of the bees will burn a lot of that off within the hive. I would close. I began this conversation with talking about the inner cover. The inner cover should be completely closed off. So if you're at the front here and that's where that notch is for ventilation, you want to move that telescopic cover right up next to it so that there's very limited air movement going out of the hive. But warmth is far more important than moisture during the winter months.
No, we lost Nikki. She's only on the radio
Nikki,
again.
I know, it was that hot, honey.
All right.
That's all right. I'm still here. Listen to the sound of my voice. All right. Scott Weymouth says, I've never had robbing this bad before. Made several nukes that were really strong after pulling honey. Lost most of them because the large hives overpowered them. Any ideas on how to help them?
Okay. All right. So robbing is okay. Without seeing, Scott, how your bee yard was designed, first of all, I would have at least a 6-inch space between each of the nukes or the hives themselves. And the robbing side kind of leads me to believe that maybe you stacked 1 or 2 medium supers up on some of these hives, and there was just too much space. And what happens when there's too much space in a hive is they become disorganized. And so that could be it there. If you feed one hive, you have to feed all of them. And that helps prevent robbing on that side. So that's one word of truth that we always have to remember is you feed one hive, you got to feed them all. Otherwise, that promotes robbing on that there. Keeping the feeders completely full in all of them. You'll have some strong hives that are out there and they'll go through syrup very, very quickly where others will just put a small dent into it. Well, it's those, when they run out, they're going to go on ahead and hit the other hives that are out there. So that is a big drawdown. Also, when you're making several nukes, you got to have a lot of bees in there. If you don't have 3, and I'm talking about a 5-frame nuke, if you don't have 3 frames full of bees in there, they don't have enough guard bees to be able to defend the hive. So that could also be a really negative on that side there too. But that's really about all I can really say, Scott, for the information that you gave.
Very good. Thank you, Ray. Nikki, if you would, we are coming down the home stretch here, and go ahead and select a winner. In just a moment, we'll have you announce who's going to win the freebies. I think we've got time for 1 or 2 more questions. Alan's in North Carolina and has a question about going from a 2-deep to a single during the winter. So any thoughts about when to make that transition during the winter time?
Well, Alan, one thing I would say is if you only have 2 or 3 frames that have nectar or honey in them, then I would still leave them up at the top because the bees are going to migrate to the top super where the heat is going to be retained during the winter months. Now, what I may also suggest is that you move some of the frames from the bottom to the top to make it full of either honey or brood for the top super. And then once spring comes, they'll move back down to the bottom again. And you could put in empty frames if you wanted to into that. But it's going to be very, very hard to get through the winter on just a single deep in North Carolina. I don't know if you're out towards the coast or up in the mountains, which is a really big deal when we're talking about bees. But the bottom line is you got to feed if you go to a single deep for the winter months.
Very cool. All right, Nikki, people have been waiting on this moment.
The moment you've been waiting for. Drum roll. So our winner I just pulled for our Italian bee package is going to be Michael Sipes. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Michael.
So congratulations, Michael. If you will give me a call at 706-886-1322, my extension's 1010, and we'll get you scheduled for your Italian bee package that will it'll ship out for you this spring. Don't call me tonight. I'm not answering. It's a little late. I'm ready to go home.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day.
Let's mention one more time for everybody the Beekeepers Boot Camp. If Nikki or Ray want to give a final pitch for this wonderful event that's coming up.
Nikki has not been to our Beekeepers
This will be my first Beekeepers Boot Camp.
And so she's getting a lot of tutoring.
Oh, yes.
She and Kendra are going to be pulling this off behind the scenes. And but anyhow, it's a full day, folks. 7 hours of the boot camp. We'll take a break for lunch and 2 breaks, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, a short break, restroom break, snack break. And we really keep it moving. So you'll find it entertaining. We try to get you some hands-on. Weather permitting, we'll have a hive inspection at the end of the course. And you'll be able to see the bees in action. So those new beekeepers that are thinking about getting in beekeeping, come on, because we're going to get right into the bees, and you'll be able to even handle a frame of bees and look at it and understand what you're looking at. And that's a big deal as a beekeeper, a starting beekeeper.
Yes, it is. The link is in the description for the video. You can use the QR code on the screen right now, or if you go to mountainsweethoney.com, in the search bar, just type in the word boot camp, and it'll bring up all the information that you need. And that's my alarm to take my medicine.
Real quick, before we sign off, I wanted to throw out to our 2 biggest fans that were on first thing today. We're going to throw out some Buzz TV t-shirts for you. So again, give me a call tomorrow, 706-886-1322. We'll get those shipped out, and that's going to go to Adelise Hernandez and James Noel.
All right. Very good. Nikki's giving away the house tonight, folks.
I'm in a giving mood.
We can't wait to see you at the Beekeepers Boot Camp. Come and join us on the 28th.
Be there, and I believe we're going to be at the National Honeybee Association meeting in Kentucky.
Expo. Yep, in Kentucky. Yes. Yep, and that comes up in January, so that'll be right around the corner. That one's huge. That's exciting.
And what else do we got going on, Nikki?
We have our Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Yes. We'll be there next month, October 11th and 12th. We'll be up there at the Murfreesboro College, the state college up there. So that's
all right.
Exciting.
And we're bringing our mobile store to both of those. And then Brian and we're going to be doing Buzz TV up in Kentucky.
And looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yep. And we'll have some great outtakes on
I'm sure we will. The blooper reel. We had a few of those tonight, but we're grateful to each and every one of you that took the time to tune in. Tell somebody about Buzz TV. Support Mountain Sweet Honey at mountainsweethoney.com, whether you need bees shipped to you, beekeeping supplies, educational materials, tons of information there. If you haven't checked us out recently, mountainsweethoney.com.
All right, Brian, let's wrap it on up, folks. Thank you again for tuning in to Buzz TV, and we'll see you next month.